welcome back to Essential Sports Sharpshooters Edition, Episode 4. This episode, we're just going to be getting into our WrestleMania stuff, kind of going over the matches real quick. We're doing, just going over them real quickly. He's going to break it down in here in a second, but for our new viewers, my name is Tyler.
I'm Leah.
And this is Sharpshooters Edition from Essential Sports Pod. Before we get into any of the content, make sure you guys check out all our socials on the bottom. Over here we got our Instagram and our TikTok at Essential Sports Pod. Right here below our microphone, we got our Twitter at ES Podcasts and our YouTube, which you're watching right now, at ES Podcast. Just kind of cross our social media accounts, mainly on our Instagram and Twitter. We just do live sports updates and kind of just different cool little posts that we come up with, just talking about just different sports, more than just wrestling, basketball, football, UFC, baseball, all the works you could imagine. So, tap in there. We're going to have a lot more content. That didn't sound right. Even more content coming out here soon. And also, going to be putting stuff on our TikTok more frequently too. So, tap into that as well. But, Leah, break us into the video.
Alright, so for today, we're kind of going over Mania. As you know, it was this past weekend. Don't know when this is going to be put out, but it was this past weekend for us. We watched both nights. Basically, there was a lot that happened, so we're just gonna do a speed breakdown of each one. For each match, we're gonna say one standout thing that happened in the match for us, then kind of give our thoughts, and after that, we're gonna give it a rating, each of them a rating. And then, after we do all the ratings for the matches, we are going to do our top 3 all together, combined of night 1 and night 2. But after that, we're going to take all of our ratings for night 1, night 2 separately, and rate them each as a whole night. That was a lot of rules. But basically, just rating all the matches individually, then kind of doing an average of what we thought night 1, night 2 was overall rating, to compare the 2 nights, because they definitely had a different vibe, the 2 nights. But let's get it started.
Cracking.
Okay, so first match of night 1 was John Cena versus Austin Theory for the United States Championship. Main standout for me. That when Austin tapped when the ref was down, because I was so waiting to see how they were going to make it a cheaty match, and that's what they chose to do. So that was the standout, that's what they chose to do, to cheat have Austin cheat once again. So what is your standout from the match?
My main standout from the match would probably be that just Austin Theory won in a cheap way. And that doesn't make his title reign solidified. It doesn't make him look like a dominant champion. It makes him look like a guy that's just holding the belt because of luck. But what would you say your rating of the match is?
My rating, I get a 5 out of 10 because it was average. But, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, they made it the opener because it was John Cena, and, it's John Cena. But, I mean, it was okay. I mean, I don't really like Austin Theory that much. They did okay keeping up with one another, but at the end of the day, John's old. He can't go for that long. I wasn't a huge fan that the first match, though, was kind of a cheaty match. I didn't like that, but I give it 5 out of 10 because as 5 out of 10 is, it was mid. So, what's your rating and why?
My rating for the match would be a 6.5 out of 10. My reason why, before the ending of how it was kind of just cheap and shit, I don't know, the match was still genuinely okay before then. There were still some good spots for Austin and John. It was still a decent match, but I feel like the ending was just kind of cheap. So it should have been higher if the ending was different and Austin actually won in a clean way. It'd be a higher rated match, but I'd go 6.5.
Nice. All right, next match. Men's Tag Fatal 4-Way. What was your standout thing from the match?
My standout thing would probably be when all of them were in the corner in that suplex, and what was it, Braun? I think it was Braun was the one that threw them all down on that. That was super cool, good spot. And if I got that wrong, then my main one would be just the high flying moments in the match. I think that was super cool. I liked that. It was entertaining. That's really it. I didn't really have a whole lot about this match.
Yeah. I mean, my standout, that's valid just because at the end of the day it's a showcase. There's not a lot on the line. My standout was the Street Profits winning. Just because they don't win a lot lately. And I think it was important for them to win. But it's pretty plain and simple. There wasn't a lot to, say about this match. But what would you rate it and why?
I would rate it 7.5 out of 10 just because it was an entertaining match and there was some good spots. I feel like whenever you have some guys like Ricochet in that match or like Montez Ford, it's always going to be entertaining, so it's going to add value to the match in general. You got some strength in there with Braun. Otis is funny. You got, Shorty G in the match. Gotta love him. But yeah, that's why I'd say it's 7.5. There's not any huge takeaways, I feel like, from it, but it's still an entertaining match to watch.
Yeah, I would rate it a 7.5 as well. I think why it did do as well as it did is kind of what you were saying, but it was a very diverse match, and that's why I feel like it did as well as it did. No one was, kind of the worst, in my opinion. Obviously there was people better than others, but there was nobody who was, bottom of the totem pole when it came to it. But I like that they had the Street Profits win. I also didn't like they had the Street Profits win, but I was more happy that they won than upset. So that's why I gave it a 7.5. It was just but that's why it's just a little bit above a C plus. So, but yeah, next Logan Paul versus Seth freaking Rollins.
Yeah. My
standout.
My key standout of this would be there's just a couple. I would say Logan Paul puts Prime Bottle through table. That was interesting.
It was in the Prime Bottle.
KSI was in the Prime Bottle. His business partner / old guy he lost to in boxing. But, yeah, that'd be my key takeaway.
My key takeaway from the match was Seth's entrance. Not that the match was bad. It was a very good match, but that was my favorite part about it, just because his entrance was beautiful. Literally, he's my favorite male wrestler, if you haven't found that out by now. And we watched it with one of our friends who doesn't watch wrestling, and she watched his entrance, and she was like, I am in love with him. And I was like, yep, you get it. She's literally never watched WWE ever, with us. Maybe, one time, but she's like, I love him. I was like, yep. It just takes one watch to fall in love with Seth freaking Rollins. He's so good. But that was my main thing. Obviously, the rest of the match was awesome, but that was my main standout thing. When it comes to rating, speaking of it being awesome, I rated it an 8 because obviously any match with Logan Paul in it for me is going to drop a point just because I don't like him. But that's just me. But anyway, they did a good job. There was a lot of fun, very jokey moments. It wasn't for a championship, but it was more an entertainment match than anything. But I wasn't expecting anything else when you have two people like Seth and Logan, very big personalities. And yeah, so I did an 8 out of 10. What would you rate it and why?
I would rate it a 7.7 out of 10 just because I don't feel like there's any real trajectory for either of them from this. Obviously, Seth's a great wrestler. I say that every podcast we talk about him. Seth's a fantastic wrestler, and you could do about anything with Seth, and it would make sense. And so he was fine with him winning this match, in my opinion, but I don't feel like he should have, too. I think Logan should have gotten the win. just because I feel like if you're wanting to solidify Logan and all the commentators say he's such a great athlete all the time, even though he's controversial and like all this stuff, he's an internet celebrity. Like if you're wanting to solidify a guy like that, I feel like you need to give him a notable win. And he's 2-4 in his career in WWE, and his only 2 wins happen to be with The Miz and versus The Miz, and lost to Roman. Obviously, he's not going to win that match, but I don't know. I think this would have been a good chance to put him over and have him have like a solidified victory, especially with all this all this shit leading up to it. But either way, I like the match. I like Seth and Logan, so I'm not really disappointed. So that's why I rated it a 7.7.
There you go. Next match, Damage Control versus Lita, Trish, and Becky. Not for a title, but what was your standout moment?
My standout moment would be Trish still having it in the ring. Yeah, Trish is mid-50s, I think now, maybe late 40s. I don't want to like say anything bad about her age, but but like she hasn't been wrestled in like 4 years. That's Trish Stratus. That's a WWE legend. So it was cool to see her come into the ring and still have it. I think she has it more than Lita does anymore. Like Lita's just stiff out there. I mean, she does some cool like Hardy Boys stuff and old Lita stuff, but like I don't know. Obviously that comes with age, just being athletic and stuff. So I think it was good to see that Trish could still perform in the ring, because I didn't think she would, because they haven't been teasing that at all. So
yeah. My standout besides that, maybe on the more like negative side of things, how much Dakota kind of choked in this match when it came to her wrestling abilities. I mean, I know it was Io and Dakota's first Mania match they've ever had, which is great, but at the end of the day, Io did amazing. I thought Io did better than Bayley. But Dakota just missed a few moves more than she should. Like, she's not really super entertaining to watch. She seems super filler-y. Like, I don't know. When you put her next to... obviously, you compare her to Io more than to Bayley. But when she's next to Bayley, you're like, I kind of get it. But when you put her next to Io, you're like, what the... No, they are not on the same level at all, in my opinion. And I really like her character and, like, her look she has going, but... she really disappointed me with her wrestling ability, but what would you rate it and why?
I would rate this match probably a 6.5 out of 10, just because it felt like any other WWE match where they just bring back a legend to make them feel involved. Nice gummy worm.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I got hungry.
You're not you when you're hungry. But...
sponsored by Snickers. No, it's
no,
not.
we're not. We're not.
WWE is. That's why I said it. But we're not sponsored by Snickers.
But, yeah, I don't know. I just don't really feel like there was, like, a super good spot in the match. Like, it wasn't super crazy. It just felt like the same old WrestleMania. Bring a legend back and have them do a moment. So, yeah, that's why I'd rate it a 6.5. Cool people in the match, but nothing special. What about you?
Hey! That was rude. Eat the rest of it then. I don't want that one. It's tainted. Okay. Anyway, I rated also a 6.5. I think, it's always good to see legends come back, but it was entertaining, but not, like, to the point it should have been for a Mania. But that's why it was a mid-card, so... I don't have a lot to say about it. It was filler at the end of the day, but it's always good to see some of the legends make their way back into the ring. Next match. Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio. What was your standout from the Rey versus Dom match?
Sorry, we just had an interruption from Rey Mysterio. He just popped in the room. Tyler Mysterio. But anyway.
What was your standout?
My standout of the match. There's a couple spots. I liked the Bad Bunny part. But honestly, my standout would just be the the disrespect Dom had in it, just showing his heel in it. That was like my favorite part of it, when he grabbed the water, took a drink of his sister's water, which just happened to be in a red Solo cup. How are you gonna get a red Solo cup in SoFi Stadium? Let's put that into perspective first. But two, and just him taking a drink and spitting it in his sister's face. Like, obviously that's like a shitty thing to do, but like in wrestling terms and for like the heel perspective, that was perfect. Because that makes him look like such a bad guy, and that's what you're supposed to be doing. So that's what my takeaway was, is Dom turning into even better of a heel day by day. What's your key takeaway?
I'm surprised you didn't say him coming out with the police escort.
Oh, that shit was hilarious. Him coming out with the police escort. Dom absolutely looking like a thug. You gotta love it. Gotta love Dom. Like, she hates on Dominic Mysterio.
He's just annoying.
But he's gonna keep that Mysterio legacy going, like he's saying. Shout out Eddie. But anyway.
Any hoozle. My stands out. I have 3 quick standouts. Ray's entrance, coming in with all the different musics, all the kind of tributes. Ray slapping Dominic with a belt, with him bent over. Funny. And then also the cameo bitch slap from his mom, just 'cause funny. Half of mine include Dom getting something bad done to him, so that's probably why they stand out to me. But Ray, clearly she don't care about Dom either. She's about to fall asleep. But I would rate this match a 7. A 7 Ray nose licks out of 10. It was really good. I mean, it was entertaining. It just kind of was. I like matches that are like, there's a lot of physicality to them. And this was a very storytelling match, if that makes sense. But I don't know. I think it was still really good, but I rated it a 7 just because, I mean, it was good in the sense of the theatricality of it and that, but I wish there was just a little bit more, like, actual wrestling in it than just Dom waddling around doing dumbass shit with people. But what's your rating and why?
In terms of not just, like, the match value and like just the overall like theatrics, like you were saying, and like the theatrics and like just the story behind it and kind of like what it actually meant, I would rate it an 8.5 just because of everything that happened, like the Snoop Dogg intro coming out, super dope. Ray's entrance with the LWO shirt and like all of that kind of stuff, and just all like the theatric stuff to it. I feel like obviously you love those matches, like you were saying, they're super physical and there's like the super like just beating the shit out of each other type matches, but you also got to have some love for the theater and like the actual like theatric part of wrestling, because that's what makes wrestling. And so yeah, I'd rate it, what did I say, 8.5? Yeah, 8.5 out of 10.
Yep. Next match, Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. We have a new SmackDown Women's Champion.
Yo.
Son, but
tell me your key takeaway. Let's hear it.
My key takeaway. First off, a little messed up that it wasn't the main event, in my opinion, because the ramifications for the Royal Rumble is whoever wins gets a main event at WrestleMania. That's all I have to say. Even though Bloodline storyline, very importante, we prioritize it, but still, I don't think that was really fair to Rhea. But when it was longer than I thought it would be. That's a takeaway, like a standout thing. Mine was that German suplex that got messed up, and literally I thought, I don't know if she did, maybe she did, but she had a cut on her nose. I thought Charlotte broke her nose, but that was my main, like, whoa.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was crazy.
You could definitely tell by just watching that was botched really hard because just by the way Charlotte landed and her face immediately when she got up, she was just like, what the fuck just happened?
I don't fault, though, either of them. Because in my opinion, when that gets messed up like that, that is not just the person who's throwing them. Like, that had to do with some part of Charlotte's landing. And they, at that point in the match, were probably so gassed already. Like, they were 20 minutes in at that point. But is that your standout, too?
No, that's not my standout.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah, but I have something else, too. Like, just the way the match ended would be my standout. The riptide off the top rope was so dope. Like, that was such a clean way to have her win that because it goes out in dramatic fashion and that's the way you like to see big title matches end. And, like, I feel like just the physicality of this match was super good and the back and forth and just, like, I don't know. I really liked this match, and about damn time Rhea got her moment at Mania. Mm-hmm. About damn time. She deserves it so much.
What would you rate it and why?
I would rate this match a 9.5 out of 10. 9.5. So that's my highest rating so far. What about you?
This match made me proud to be a hardcore fan of women's wrestling. These are my two favorite wrestlers in the women's division right now. Period. No one compares, in my opinion. And these two ladies put it out on that mat. They put everything out there. And why it was so crazy too, and I obviously, like, they didn't hype it up a lot this match. They didn't do a lot of, like, different promos and stuff. It was just mainly them coming out every time and being like, I'm gonna beat you. But, you know, like, I don't know. I think, which almost, though, made it more better that we weren't expecting a lot from it. But I didn't expect anything less. Just because, like, every big pay-per-view match Rhea has done, we're like, whoa. Every big pay-per-view match Charlotte has done, we're like, whoa. So I'm so happy they did what those two girls did as great as they did. Like, I'm so happy for them because obviously at the end of the day, I do love Charlotte Flair and she lost the title, but still, I will watch Charlotte Flair wrestle for hours. I love watching her wrestle. She is so freaking good. And even if, like, we are blaming Rhea for that messed up suplex or something, Charlotte kept going like nothing had happened. Like, she just kept rolling. So I give this a 10 out of 10. It was my favorite match of that night. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I forgot to say in it is one thing that's really underrated about Charlotte too is how flippy she is. Like,
yeah.
I feel like a lot of people don't realize that,
flippy.
She is super acrobatic, does like high flying, what'd she do, a backflip moonsault
like that
onto Rhea on the outside of the ring. Like, that was sick. And that probably wasn't even like a top 5 move in the match, and that's crazy to think about.
She's a specialist wrestler at the end of the day, but she does everything. Yeah. Like, definitely Rhea's definitely like more on the giant bruiser, hard hitter at the end of the day, but Charlotte to me just does everything.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's the reason why she is the blueprint for WWE women.
Yep.
Like, she is the blueprint. That's the reason she has the most title reigns. That's the reason. So,
I know people will shit on it because they think a lot of it's handed to her, and maybe that's true, but also I think she's somebody that proves why she has it handed to her every time. So
100%. Was it though, really, even? She started in the WWE when she was like 30.
But a lot of people say nowadays that, like, she always gets, like, the greatest costumes, greatest entrances. She's always in the commercials. She always gets a title all the time. Like, you always title opportunities, but boo-hoo, cry about it.
Exactly. She deserves it.
Final match of the night 1, Usos versus Sami and Kevin, new and undisputed tag team champions on today. I don't know what that was, but we have new champs. Big
new
dealio.
Tag team champs.
Big dealio.
Let me dive in.
Your standout.
My standout from this match, obviously, new tag team champs. Like, that's the main one. Like,
right.
About damn time. That's another one. I like that. And my key standout is that when the match was coming to a close, it's that Sami and Jey Uso were the last two in the ring. That was the main standout for me. And that Sammy hits him with 3 haluva kicks for the win. That was the number one takeaway because it should not have been Jimmy, and I'm so glad it was Jey because that ties into the story more, and it's a big deal having Sammy pin Jey. Mm-hmm. So that would be my main takeaway.
I agree with that. Like, you kind of piggyback off that. The match started with Sammy and Jey in the ring, and it ended with Sammy and Jey in the ring, which I think was really cool. A little less of a standout, I guess, but kind of we gotta bring it up because it's a history-making thing. Sami Zayn is the first person to ever kick out after the Usos won the tag move together. If you have not seen the video of Michael Cole freaking out about it on WWE Instagram, it's really funny. Go watch it. Yeah. It's him freaking out. He'll be like, "Oh, Usos hit him with a 1D," and he's like, "Sammy kicked out!" Then he just jumps around. Yeah, it's so funny.
It was so funny. He was turned around with his back to it, and he was freaking out. It was so good.
It was really good. Side note, Michael Cole. And was it Michael and Corey? Yeah. Michael Cole and Corey Graves were killing it on commentary, I feel like, both nights. Just side note.
Also, shout out to Titus O'Neil on the mic.
We will talk about that.
Spitting.
We will talk about that because he was killing it on night 2. It was during the IC match. We will talk about that.
Maybe I jumped the gun a little
bit.
My
bad.
No,
so yeah, that was my standout. I rate this match a 9.5. Why I didn't give it a 10 is there was points I feel like where it was where the Usos were just punishing Sammy, and it got kind of boring at times because it was just every match has an ebb and flow. Some people are dominant, some people aren't, back and forth. But I think it was just to the point where you were like, okay, beat him up a little more. I wanted this to keep going, but I think I wasn't a 10 for me because it just in my brain, when I put it up next to a Charlotte and Rhea match, I feel like those girls were 10 times more physical than these boys were. Not to discredit what the boys did at all. That comes with different wrestling styles too, and it was a tag match versus a singles. But I just feel like with Rhea and Charlotte, they did stuff that I had really not seen before when it came to them, and we had just seen everything they did was stuff they've all done before. It was just on a bigger scale. But that's why I didn't give it a 10 out of 10, just because the physicality of it wasn't like, oh my god. It was more like the story of it was like, oh my god. There wasn't the physicality to go with it as much, but it still was great. Still 9.5, but what did you think?
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with that. But my rating on this was also a 9.5. But with your key takeaways were basically the same thing I had. The only reason I didn't give it a 10 out of 10 is because there were some dead spots throughout the match, where they would be laying there, and they're double teaming on a guy and cheating and doing all that bullshit, and that's just annoying, and you were all tired of that, and so that, and then I don't know. I feel like it could have been more physical, like you were saying, and the storyline definitely helps add to the match because, I feel like if the storyline wasn't a thing, it would be a lower rated match.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd go 9.5.
So excited to see what they do with this now. So excited. But I hope we were kind of talking about it off camera earlier that we think Sammy and Kevin are going to have these for a minute unless the Usos take it off of them at an earlier point. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a back and forth. But I'm so excited to see what they do with this. Also, due to the fact of the Night 2 main event, how that's going to work now based off those results. Because now the Bloodline does not have all the men's championships anymore. Yeah. But now, Night 1, done. Night 2, let's get into it. We'll talk about our final ratings all at the end together, but of the night as a whole. But Night 2 starts off with Brock Lesnar versus the Nigerian Giant.
You start this one off.
I'll do it again for you all. No. Dumb, short, so pointless in my opinion. No matter what match you put him in, we are not going to like Omos. I'm sorry. He has no star quality whatsoever. You know why we love why we love Shaq? It's because he's big, but also Shaq is fucking funny. And he's also an EDM DJ if you didn't know that, and that's another reason. Shaq has
And a basketball player.
And a basketball player. But no, that's what I'm saying. What, you know what, I mean, we like Shaq because he's a big basketball player and that him being big helped him be better at basketball. But he has a bunch of other stuff going on outside of it. And that's why we love him even more, because he has that star quality to do so. Yeah, Omos is a big dude and that makes him better at wrestling, but what else does he have?
Nothing.
Right. So, I didn't like it. It was boring. My key takeaway of it is just the fact that obviously we all knew this was coming, that Brock was able to suplex and hit an F5 on him because he's a big dude. That was about it. But we all saw that coming. Do you have any takeaways?
Yeah, my key takeaways, obviously this was a match and you're just like, don't really care about it that much because it has Brock Lesnar, and that's the only reason it even has any importance to it. Omos, it doesn't even matter if he's in the match or not. I feel like he's just used as this big body. It was cool to see that Brock Lesnar could suplex him 4 times straight.
I think he messed up his back, though.
Yeah, you could tell he messed up his back in it. That's where I was going next.
Oh, okay. I was going to say it was bad.
It looked like he messed up his back pretty bad because obviously I think he went up for get him for the F5 and he couldn't. And then he ends up F5ing him and hits it to win the match. But I would just say just the showing of just reminding everybody of how much of an animal Brock Lesnar is just because of how strong he is and how dominant. So I've always been an avid Brock guy in any venture that he's wanted to go into. So, yeah, that was my key takeaway. I would rate this match.
Now that you hyped it up.
Not great.
What would you rate it?
I only liked one thing. I only liked the Brock moment when he suplexed him. But in general, I thought this match was just kind of dumb. I would rate this match a 4.5 out of 10. It had no value to it, in my opinion. It was just to get Brock a WrestleMania match. So, 4.5 out of 10. What about you?
Yeah, I didn't like it, to be honest. It was boring. The fact that they made it the main event, too, also dropped it in ratings for me, because why? This was the
main event, you mean opener?
Opener, sorry. This could have been a mid-card match, so much easier than some of the other stuff they did. But yeah, like you said, I hope Brock's okay because we saw him, but I'm pretty sure he was just on Raw, so he's fine. But, when you lift up a dude that big, my back would probably hurt too. But, I gave this a 3 out of 10 because that's lame. It was lame. It was boring. I don't like Omos. The only reason it has a 3 in there is because Brock was in it, so.
Yeah, shout out Minnesota.
Minneapolis. Okay. Next match. Women's Fatal 4-Way Tag.
Key takeaway. The match was good until Shayna and Ronda entered it. Alexa and Raquel were killing it.
Alexa and Raquel?
I mean, not Alexa. I always get that messed up.
Liv
Morgan and Raquel.
To be fair, I thought they were the same person for the longest time.
I always get their names confused, but she knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So they did really good throughout the match. Sonya was who's her teammate again? I don't even remember.
Green.
Chelsea Green.
It was supposed to be Chelsea and Carmella, but Carmella's injured.
But then it was Shotzi and Nat. I don't know, man. It was decent. I mean, it was the same kind of vibe as that other tag team other tag team match we were talking about earlier. But
it's a showcase,
Yeah, I mean, my main takeaway is that Ronda Rousey ruined the match. She comes in and literally does a submission, is in the match for fucking 40 seconds, and then not even 20 seconds, and then it's over, bell rings. Quote, "I didn't even break a sweat," is what she said as she's walking out of the ring to Shayna. So
she didn't even say it to Shayna. She said it in the ring, just when they were celebrating their victory.
Oh yeah, well yeah. So it's
very
just
apparent
stupid.
about
It's
it.
just stupid. So what's your rating?
Well, my takeaway.
Oh, that's what I meant. My bad.
Is fire Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway. I don't like her. I mean, I think I've said that before. She just doesn't care about the company, in my opinion. She doesn't care about the business. I think she's just doing it because she started losing her UFC matches and needed some other place to make money at. And they just hired her because of her name,
Absolutely.
not of that she's good at wrestling. I think she just is boring to watch. I think she doesn't have the mic skills, and she talks crap off camera, like on her Twitch and stuff about how no one will ever like me. Well, maybe do better at your job, and we will. But my rating, I rated this a 4 out of 10, just because of Shayna and Ronda winning. I thought Raquel and Liv did great with the entire match. Phew!
Bless you.
I'm allergic to them winning, see? But I think, Alexa and Raquel, not Alexa, see, you got me saying Alexa. Liv and, we have a echo dot next to us. Don't you say nothing. Liv and Raquel did great. I really wanted them to win. Honestly, at the end of the day, Shotzi and Nat did better than I thought they would. They had a lot of time in the match, but yeah, I'll give it a 4. It was, I didn't like that ending. It kind of put me in a really bad mood when it happened.
Yeah, me too.
Your rating?
I would rate it a 5 just because of everything that happened before they got into the ring.
Yeah.
I thought it was entertaining before. And then they just came in and ruined the whole thing. I think if Raquel or Liv Morgan would have got the pin, this match could have been like 7.
Yeah. I agree.
But obviously, Ronda Rousey shit on the whole thing or messed up the whole entire match. So, yeah. Wasn't a fan. 5.
Now, next match. Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. And we still have the same champion. What is your takeaway? Or stand out?
What a match. That's all I have to say. Chest slaps? Yeah.
Chops?
Chop. That's all this is a match that I feel like is gonna, like, when you look back at, like, Gunther and Sheamus and Drew's careers, like, this is gonna be in the top 3 of, like, all of their all-time matches. Like, this, I feel like every single one of them left a bigger star. But my main takeaway is long live Intercontinental Champion Gunther. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
That's my takeaway.
My takeaway, it was so physical at some points. It was, like, uncomfortable for me to watch sometimes because I was like, oh my god. Like, I was, like, I'm not one to be, like, squeamish or, like, weird about that kind of stuff, but, like, it was just more, like, you could tell in some of those, they, like, meant it, like, those hits, like, because someone would hit him on purpose, and then like, Gunther would hit Sheamus, and Sheamus like, dude, what the fuck, like, that hurt, and then he would hit him back really hard. Like, I just think, Triple H said it himself, those are 3 hard hitters. That's what he said, and all 3 of those guys are. But honestly, I know you were rooting for Sheamus, but my takeaway is I really didn't care who won, but that doesn't change it being a really good match. It was really good. Really, really, really good. Probably downsizing how good it was. It was really good. But I would rate it a 10 out of 10 in saying that because I couldn't keep my eyes off the screen until I needed to because I got uncomfortable from them hurting each other so much. But I couldn't look away. But it was really good. And it went a lot longer than I thought. They had you at the end of your seats all the time because there's so many near pinfalls. It was crazy. But what is your rating?
My rating is also a 10 out of 10. I could have watched this match for 6 hours. I loved this match. This was probably one of my favorite matches I've watched in the last 5 years. Just because of how physical it was, and just you could tell that they really meant it, and like they were beating the shit out of each other. Like, not even like wrestling. Like, I don't know, and that's really what it comes down to, is that it was just such an entertaining match, and I would love to see this be ran back at the next pay-per-view. Like, that would be super cool. I doubt that happens, but like that, just, I don't know. Overall, great match. Yeah, 10 out of 10. Okay,
next match, Bianca versus Asuka, and we still have Bianca Belair as the Raw Champion. Takeaway.
Go for it.
Plain and simple. Asuka should have won. I just think Bianca has won her last 3 at WrestleManias. Last 3. Yes, they were with different. One was for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and the last 2 were for the Raw Women's Champion, including this one. But I think it's obviously they're trying to do some title reign with her, and I know on Raw they're having something go like Rhea versus Bianca for like them both going against each other with the new championships on Rhea, but which also is dumb because stop trying to make the championships for Raw and SmackDown one thing. Just leave them separate, please. But, yeah, Asuka should have won. I love Asuka. She's amazing to watch. Like, I think she's so much more interesting than than Bianca. I think, yeah, Asuka should have won. That's my key takeaway. So, what's yours?
My key takeaway was, 1, Asuka's sick new face paint. That she came down to.
It's not really new anymore.
I mean, just the new color into it, like that gold and what was it, silver?
It was gold and white.
Gold and white. Super cool. I love that. Looks super sick. And just, yeah, kind of the same thing. Asuka should have won. I get trying to make Bianca hold the title. I mean, solidify her a little bit more, but don't combine the belts. Don't make them have a rivalry. Stay on your own goddamn show. There's no point. Yeah, that's really it. It was a good match in general. I liked it. But then I would rate this match 8 out of 10 just because there was a lot of good spots. It was physical. It was athletic. I liked the one time that Asuka tried to use the mist on her.
She missed.
And she missed, which ended up...
No pun intended.
Yep.
Sorry.
And she ended up... that ended up leading to her losing. But,
yeah.
Like, I don't know. Good theatrics throughout the match, and I was genuinely entertained.
Yeah, I'd rate it an 8 out of 10 as well. I think it was entertaining, but the outcome just wasn't what I wanted. Also, we can't ignore the fact Bianca was hitting her hard. Like, you could tell that Bianca was hitting Asuka so much harder. Like, when it came to suplexes, like, strikes, all that. Like, obviously, Asuka was, like, going back at her, but what she was doing did not seem as, like, aggressive, like, not in the nature of, like, what move she was doing, but just how, like, hard she was hitting. Like, Bianca seemed way, I don't know, it was a little off, weird to me, but, again, I'll also rate it an 8. This really wasn't a match, but we want to address it. The impromptu Snoop Dogg versus Miz match. It was originally supposed to be The Miz versus Shane McMahon. He came back. Literally 3 minutes into the match, he got injured. What was his injury?
Torn quadricep, or quad, so... And that's really tough. Like, he was probably in the ring for, like, what, maybe,
like 3 minutes.
Not even, maybe. Like, maybe, yeah, 3 minutes.
Literally.
But, like... Crazy short amount of time. He was beating up Miz, and then he just took a weird landing, and you could just tell it was not right. Like, you could tell it was not on the script. He just went down immediately, and then they kind of just panned the camera over to Snoop.
Props to Snoop.
Props to Snoop for saving that entire promo.
He improv'd all of that. That was crazy.
Snoop hitting a rock bottom
that was
on
funny.
the Miz. That was clean.
Crazy.
That would be my main takeaway. Snoop saved that entire segment and ended up beating the Miz.
Props to Snoop for not even being a trained superstar and improving like that. Because he improved like he had training, too, if something bad had happened. So, yeah. But we're not going to rank it just because it was kind of a little random one. But, 2 more. Edge versus Finn. Steel cage match. Edge was the winner. But what is your takeaway?
My key takeaway that it was just such a physical match. Obviously, it's a Hell in the Cell, and like that's really good. But Finn Balor's skull getting basically cracked open by a ladder, and it was obviously like hard to see in the match because he was Demon Finn Balor with the face paint and all the works, but when you really looked, there's just this mountain of blood piling out of his head. They posted a picture of it too. Which was crazy. They stopped the match. That would be my main takeaway. Is just that Finn is the guy because he just ate those shots after he literally got his head sliced open. Then he just continued to probably have like a 10 to 15 minute match after that. Yeah. And so that would be my main takeaway. Is that Finn Balor is that guy.
Is that guy? My main takeaway was chaotic, I guess. Which I mean you get in a Hell in a Cell match, but For me, it was almost, I wasn't as big of a fan of this match as you were. For me, it was almost too chaotic, which is no one's fault, but it all kind of started when Finn got hurt and had to get pulled aside by the medical team. And, like, don't get me wrong, props to him that he kept going and still put on a decent match, but it just felt really, like, super chaotic and random, and I think that was slightly because we've just seen this rivalry before, and they've had a few pay-per-view matches already. And yes, I know, this is me contradicting myself, but it is a Hell in a Cell match. They're demons versus the devil, whatever. Chaotic. But the Brood, whatever. Those entrances were really freaking cool, both of them, especially Edge's, but it was just a little almost too chaotic for me, which sounds dumb since it was Hell in a Cell, but I didn't understand who was, like, doing good, who wasn't, like, why was all the stuff colored purple and red, like, they were, like, kids that had to know what color to grab, like...
They were colored purple and red because Judgment Day purple and
I know.
And the Brood and that old
Well, I know
tag,
that's why, but that took me out of it. Like, it obviously I know the Brood's red and the Judgment Day's purple, but, like, why? Like, it just seemed like...
I know, it's dumb.
It was dumb. It was like, okay, kids, you're on the red team, you're on the... Pick your baseball bat, you make sure it's a red one. Like, no, like, just leave them what they are. Like, their weapons, they don't need to be color-coded. Like, it was weird.
True.
But... Anyway, I rate this overall. I rated it pretty low. I rated it a 6.5 out of 10. I just was not a huge fan. I think also, I know everybody loves the Demon Finn Balor. I love him for his look, but I'm sorry, I cannot. I think they have warmed Finn Balor up too much for me. Like, they've made him too soft, which is weird because he's a heel right now, but I just can't take him seriously anymore when he's like, meh. Like, he did that, like, 20 times in the match. Like, he was like, nah, like, when he just, like, stuck his tongue out and made a noise. And I was like, dude, it was just funny. It was hard for me to, like, take seriously when I know they were trying to make this, like, devil, demon. It was, like, sponsored by an Exorcist movie or something. Like, but I rated it a 6.5 out of 10.
I rated it an 8.5 out of 10. But I 100% agree with what you're saying. Like, I feel like when Finn was in NXT, like, that demon thing was legit.
It was so good.
Because they used it for special events and then to make him look dominant.
Yeah.
And just the way that they perceive Finn now, I don't...
He wears a bucket hat.
He wears a fucking bucket hat and ones, like, and joggers.
And a handkerchief, like a bandana around his neck.
He just doesn't have that same vibe to me anymore. Like, I maybe after this they make it to where it's more of a common thing, and, like, this is something that he does more, and that could make it more credible. But I feel like the way they have his character perceived right now just doesn't fit it. And then at the same time, it was the same kind of thing with Edge. Like, Edge doesn't really have that thing for his character anymore. But, like, I feel like if you're going to do that, it has to somewhat make sense. I feel like that was just oh yeah, we're going to get this match. And, like, fans are kind of buying into it, but, like, not really. So let's put some cool stuff on them to make it to where the fans are more engaged.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, in fact. Also, side note, Rhea was the only person from the Judgment Day to win her match this weekend. So we'll see how that pans out.
Should we go into the big one?
Main event, Rooney. Let's get it. Roman freaking Reigns against Cody, the American Nightmare Rhodes. Yeah.
Dive in.
Roman retained. If you haven't known, I mean, it was put everywhere that he retained. But Roman retained in a dumb way. That's my main takeaway, because they will literally... We were watching it, and Solo walked out with him, and we're like, that's not good. Why is Solo here? That's not good. And the match hasn't even started yet. Like, it wasn't... Like, that was one of my takeaways. I feel like I need to give a little bit more than one, because this was a biggie.
Let's do, like...
3.
Let's do 2 or 3. Let's do
2 or 3 takeaways. So that was one that he won in a dumb way. Obviously, they cheated. But I think that kind of leads into, if you haven't seen Raw yet, we watched a little clip of it, that Cody was like, all the other people you've been against, it was kind of a squash match, but you cannot admit that I had you. Like, I had you at a certain point. And that kind of proves that Roman needed to cheat to do so. So, I mean, that's starting to kind of put him in a little bit of a lane of Austin Theory, in my opinion. Like, he doesn't, not in the sense of, like, no, listen, not in the sense of, like, mid versus main event, but in the sense of, like, he's now turning into the guy who just needs to cheat to win all of his matches.
Yeah.
If you think about it,
it's true.
he cheated at Royal Rumble. He cheated then, you know, because they had...
Yeah.
You know, they had the refs knocked out. They cheated at Elimination Chamber. They had the refs knocked out. You know, he had someone grab him a chair to hit Sammy with a bunch of times. Like, they cheated. Like, he keeps cheating. So I'm not saying it puts him in the same lane as Austin Theory because of, like, their star quality. More just in the sense of the same kind of heel energy is coming up. But that was something something I did like about the match a lot was that Sammy and Kevin came in to kind of get a little, like, jab at Roman because, of course, the Usos came in to, like, go at Cody, which was expected, 'cause Bloodline faction, whatever. But it was cool that Sammy and Kevin came in to, like, kind of, like, stand by Cody, but also they mainly did it because both of them had gone against Roman prior, so they lost. So they were trying to do their best to help Cody get it. But, yeah, those are kind of my main takeaways, I guess. But what were yours?
My main takeaways is that Cody Rhodes should be the undisputed Universal Champion of the world. Cody absolutely ate those Superman punches and spears. I don't even know how many he took. 3 or 4 of each. Maybe. At least 3 spears and at least 2 Superman punches, like, minimum he took.
Mm-hmm.
Just ate them. And kicked out every time. Super back and forth. Super entertaining. I wish Paul Heyman was more of a part of it. And I wish Solo never came out to the ringside. I liked where the Usos came out. I thought when they beat up Cody, that was stupid. But I like how Sammy and Kevin came out, interfered in that a little bit. I liked Roman's entrance. I think Roman has a cool entrance every single time. That was cool, the pianos and him just coming out, just walking out both belts, you know what I'm saying? And, yeah, it should be really interesting to see with what they do with this. I know it's not really a takeaway from the match, but I feel like you kind of got a lot of the big ones out, too, which is valid.
I mean,
so, I don't know.
There wasn't a lot of new things that happened.
I'm just kind of disappointed. That's really all it is.
Yeah, you were a lot more mad that he lost than I was.
I was livid.
I was not even that upset, to be honest.
I was livid because I'm just tired of it. Like, I'm just tired of Roman having both belts because I want to see, like, I just want to see some movement throughout the WWE. Like, obviously, Roman's your main star, and, like, he's had the belts for 3 years or whatever. And, like, he's the face of your company. But, like, if you have a guy like Cody Rhodes who's on such a high horse, and the same thing with, like you could say about the Sammy situation, like, both of them should have won. Like, Roman should have lost at the last pay-per-view, and Sammy should be holding a world title right now.
Hot take.
And it should have been Sammy versus... It should have been a triple threat, like we've been saying, like at Mania. But obviously, we don't want to dive back into, like, the past. But I don't know. I hope that they continue this. I know that they had a little segment on Raw, like you were saying. But hopefully that Cody gets a rematch, and he better fucking win this time.
What would you rate it based on that?
I would rate this match a 9.5 out of 10. If Cody Rhodes won this match, it would have been a 12 out of 10. But just because of all the antics that always happen, and, like, obviously they're entertaining. I love the smack talk that Roman does throughout it, just talking shit and beating up on guys and that. And I loved how back and forth it was. I like how they showed Cody was dominant throughout it, and I like how they gave him his spots and make him look more solidified that he actually should beat Roman. And, like, I don't know. If it would have just been a little bit different, could have been a 10 for me. But it's a 9.5 for me. What about you?
I rated this a 9. Just a 9. Just because I really liked and applaud WWE on how good they are making kind of roller coasters of matches. Like, you know, because we were freaking out when the ref kicked out Solo. Because we're like, oh my gosh, they're going to do it. They're kicking him out. He doesn't have anyone there with him. And then when the Usos come out and we're like, oh no. And then Sammy and Kevin come out and we're like, oh my gosh, he's gonna do it.
And then
like,
Solo again.
And then somehow, even after they kick Solo out, Solo still cheats for him. But I wasn't even that mad just because I didn't. I'm at the point, like, the whole time we were watching it, Tyler knows, I was like, I don't believe it. It's not possible. Like, I don't believe they're going to have anyone beat him anytime soon. I mean, I was way more upset about the Sammy match, what the outcome of that was, because I like Sammy a lot more than Cody. Not that I don't like Cody, but I like Sammy a lot more. But, I don't know, maybe they'll do a rematch or something, but... I think it says something when the Intercontinental match was better for me than this match. And that was mid-card match of the night, and it's a mid-card level title.
Yeah, that's the everyday working man's title,
yeah,
not the main event
like
guy's
not
title.
the main event title, and I think that speaks volumes for that. Yes, they're trying to put Roman on this god mode pedestal. I know he does pass Pedro on the list of people who've held the title for that
Pedro
long.
Morales.
Yeah, he passes Pedro soon. It's gonna be a minute if they do try to have him pass Hulk Hogan, but I don't know. I think that speaks volumes. Like, I'm bored, but maybe I won't be bored because I do think it's not going to be the point of boring now that the Usos don't have their titles. I think that adds in more storyline to the bloodline itself, but I don't know what Cody losing adds to just Roman in general. You know, like, I don't know. Because I see why they had Roman keep it and the Usos lose, for Roman to be like, dude, what? Like, I did my job. Like, this is why I'm the chief, because I deliver every time. Like, what were you two doing? You know? And so, like I said, kind of my true thing, why I did that, because I didn't really care too much that Roman won. It wasn't a big deal to me, just because I wasn't super, like, Cody, yeah, love him, want him to be in everything. Like, I like Cody, but not to that extent. But hopefully, in my dreams, they're going to do something with him and Seth for the final thing. Because Seth has said before, I am the one, if anyone knows how to beat Roman Reigns, it's me.
Absolutely.
So, but that's just a little side note. And now that we've gone through all the matches, we are on our top 3 matches with both nights combined of WrestleMania. Tyler, what was your number 3 match of the night?
My number 3 match of the night was just the match, or was the match that we just covered, was the Roman versus Cody Rhodes match for the undisputed Universal title. My number 2 match would be the tag team match between the Usos and Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens.
Interesting.
And then my number 1 match would be the Intercontinental title match between champion Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre. That was just unbelievable, and that's why that's my number 1. Leah, what was your top 3?
Well, 2 of mine are similar, but my number 1 is not even 3 that you named. So, my number 3 is the Usos tag match with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Very entertaining. Great outcome, in my opinion. We got new champions. Awesome. My number 2 match was the Intercontinental match. That was your number 1. Obviously, it was an amazing match. The physicality of it was insane. It was just not a match, though, I had, a lot of, hype for, in my opinion, and that's why it was, a little bit lower, and the fact that, we didn't get a new champ. Obviously, I'm not mad we didn't, because I like Gunther as a champ, but, we didn't, so, that's why it's not my number 1. But my number 1 match was the SmackDown Women's Championship match with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. Because we had a new champ, which is always awesome, I feel like, in these huge matches. It's just a change. It feels better at the end. You're more excited. But these 2 ladies, like I said earlier when we covered it, put everything out on that mat. And I think why it's number 1 for me is because, yes, I think it's a little messed up they weren't the main event, but that didn't stop them from making it amazing.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, that was our top 3, and now let's go into the ratings of the show.
With all of our ratings we've done For each one, we did an average of them per night. So, Tyler, what was your night 1 rating overall?
My night 1 rating was a 7.9 out of 10. And my night 2 rating was a 7.5 out of 10.
So you just thought night 1 was a little bit better.
Yeah, in my opinion, night 1 was a little bit better. In general, they had better matches. I mean, like, night 2 had 2 of the best matches on the card, in my opinion, but then again, it was surrounded by super mid matches.
Super bad.
So that obviously brings the value of the show down. So, yeah, that's why.
My night 1 overall was a 7.6, and my night 2 was a 6.7. So, clearly I like night 1 better, but, yeah, I agree. Like Tyler said, there was a lot of good matches, like some really good standouts in night 2, but kind of like what I said earlier with my top 3, we had a lot of new champions night 1, which I feel like just always makes it more exciting and fun and better. And I didn't like that all of night 2, every single champion retained. That's boring. Yeah. That's boring.
That is
usually
super boring.
That's boring. Like, you know, at least like if it was like Asuka had won and Gunther and Roman retained, that would have added something. Like something different. You know, like but that's kind of my thoughts on that overall. But that's all.
Well, that covers WrestleMania night 1 and night 2. Thank you for listening. If you made it all the way down to this part of the video, if you did, comment down below the secret word, which is Dwayne. Okay, comment Dwayne if you made it all the way into here. I just want to see who all made it to this point of the video. We're gonna bring in Ray really quick as I'm talking. Hold on. There we go. Here's Ray.
She's here.
But yeah, thank you guys again for watching the video. We really appreciate it. This was episode 4 of Sharpshooters. We're going to continue coming out with more wrestling content as much as possible, and we'll start getting kind of our normal weekly podcast out as much as we can here coming soon. But yeah, thank you guys again, and this is Essential Sports Sharpshooters.
Bye.
And we're out.